to make sure you have as much information as possible to make educated decisions at the polls. That's why we've asked Reecie Colbert to join us. She's written 2 books to help you sort things out before you vote. They're called The Long and Short of It Guides to the Midterms and the Radical Republicans and Much Watch Races. Reecie is also a contributor here at theGrio. Reecie, thank you so much for being here. I love that you wrote these guides to help us figure everything out.
Thank you, Natasha, for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, it's really important that we have something that's straight to the point, clear, and helps us to make sense of a lot of the noise that we see right now in the media and social media sphere in particular. So what was the focus of each of your guides, and tell me why you felt compelled to write them?
Well, the reason why I felt compelled to write it is because so much of what we hear is focused around horse race coverage, around punditry, around polling, and people are not hearing what the policies and priorities of these candidates are. And the reality is that there are true, tangible differences between every candidate in just about every race, because the parties cannot be more polar opposite now. And so I decided to write both of the guides because I wanted to, like you said, cut through the noise, but I wanted to do it in a way that was authentic to my audience in particular. I call it Reecie speak, where people are used to things straight, no chaser, unfiltered, but bringing receipts. And so the Radical Republicans was about saying like, hey, y'all, these people are crazy. Like, come on. Like, we need to really recognize these people are extreme when it comes to abortion rights, when it comes to taking away our civil rights, when it comes to even the economy and healthcare, how governors across the country are not expanding Medicaid, which primarily impacts Black and Latino voters and constituents. And so that was the focus of my first race, was to just say, hey, y'all, let's take a beat and let's recognize that Republicans are really out there trying to do some crazy stuff while everybody is talking about what they're not getting from Democrats. And then the must-watch races was a compare and contrast between the Democratic and Republican candidates so that people can see straight up how different these folks will govern if they're given the opportunity to get elected or reelected.
One of my favorite parts of your guide is the long story short, right? Cutting through the noise, talking about what each candidate stands for, and again, what that impact will be. I'm curious, Reecie, was there anything that surprised you the most about some of these candidates? I feel like we've lost our sense of surprise because we've become so numb to all the crazy in politics. Anything that really stood out to you when you looked at all the candidates who are running?
The thing that stood out to me the most between my first and my second book, for instance, an abortion ban, a full abortion ban took place in Texas. So when I wrote the first book, it was just about the shortened abortion ban, 6 weeks, the heartbeat bill. And then by the second time, there were, it was a full ban that was put in place with no exception for rape or incest. And so that was something that Greg Abbott pushed. And then I was seeing across the country how even over the course of a couple of months, abortion was getting more extreme. In Wisconsin, there's an 1849 abortion ban that is now in place that Tony Evers, the governor who's running for re-election there, is trying to be a stopgap for, making sure he doesn't prosecute, or he provides clemency, for instance, to doctors who could be prosecuted under this 1849 law. And so I think the thing I want people to really realize is that, and in particular Black people, we don't want laws triggering back to 1849 to 1930 something to 1860 something. It's mainly impacting women right now, but I don't want to see what happens if we don't vote, if we don't activate, and these Republican judges, these Republican-led legislatures get the opportunity to take us back literally centuries.
For folks who are disillusioned with Democrats, because you talked about that really briefly, what is just your final message to them about why it's still important to show up, even if they're not satisfied with the Democratic Party overall or certain candidates?
Well, I said this a couple weeks ago. You're not picking a prom date. You're not picking a Tinder date. You are picking a person who you need to vote for your priorities. All your priorities are not going to pass. Every bill doesn't pass. As a matter of fact, the Senate is a graveyard when it comes to legislation. But the reality is, if you're not picking, then you're abdicating your power to very motivated extremist MAGA Republicans. And I don't think that you want to do that. So make your voice heard. It's just one tool in the democracy toolkit, but it's something you have to use because other people are going to take that from you.
Yeah, use it or lose it. Well, Reecie, thank you for giving us a tool in our toolkit to understand all the madness that's going on right now, but also our power. Again, Reecie Colbert, thanks again for your insight.
Thank you.